there, survivors, Black here from CasaBLACK Gaming, and with Enshrouded having now gone live, many players are finally able to get into the game and are noticing the skill tree and its many paths. Now, I played the game for more than 100 hours total between the beta in September, the demo in October, and having a head start the last couple of weeks, so I wanted to give a couple of options to focus on for new players, which should accommodate a couple of play styles. I will, of course, keep to my quick, concise runtimes for this video, so strap in and let's get to the info. Now first up, let's talk melee. The melee build I went with is a good build for those who want to get right in the action, stun enemies through well-timed shield hits, and hit multiple enemies with AoE damage, all while wearing heavy armor for more survivability. This build means you will ultimately have an easier time at leveling because you will not be avoiding fights or being choosy, but taking out everything in a camp or cave. Now, I do not want to call this the easy mode build, but in my opinion, it was easier than the magic build. No matter which build you go with though, whether that be a melee weapon based like this one or the magical weapon based, you are going to want to have a ranged weapon as an alternate with you at all times. Now for a melee focused build, that would be the bow. The reason for having ranged as well is that even though you want to get in there and hack and slash your way through mobs, some of them are better handled with some range, such as the spitting plants you will run across in the forest area. Not to mention that if you're a couple of levels lower than the area you are currently in, a bow can help expose many hidden enemies you might have, and with some of the dark caves, not to mention the Enshrouded area, there are times where the numbers can seem to be one thing, but then you get overwhelmed by those you do not see, and by the time you realize it, it's just too late. Now, as far as which skills to go for, my recommendation is to first focus on your melee points, and I started out with the power parry because it's such a powerful move, and then went into the tank line a little, choosing the skills I wanted, also picking up merciless attack. Now from here, I chose the skills that fit my playstyle before moving into the warrior line. I like a one-handed shield and one-handed sword, so if you like two-handed weapons, you will want to choose those skills over the one-handed. From there, it was just choice. I also went into the barbarian build a little bit. I did go for the points into strength and constitution as often as I could for the added stats. Instead of the barbarian skills, you might want to go into some ranger skills to up your bow damage a little bit, but that's going to depend on you. I will definitely put some into the ranger line once I am satisfied with the melee skills that I want. Oh, and one final tip I want to give is that if you know you're heading into a densely populated area of mobs that's on level or maybe a little bit more than you need to make sure you have your stamina bonus on from being rested. That way you do not run out of stamina and become unable to block, as that will surely cost you and might even get you killed. So for the last couple of weeks, I mainly went magic based, and so I wanted to give players not only a choice, but also a warning if choosing this build, especially for your first few levels, because you will be squishy and you'll need to approach the fights differently. And also, if you stick to only pulling certain enemies and avoidance as your rule, you might also come up short on your XP, and thus you'll find yourself underleveled in some of the areas. But I have to say that this way of leveling and taking on quests was fun, and as I unlocked more skills, I really enjoyed this build a lot. Now, as I stated in the first build, no matter which build you go with, you need to plan on having a ranged weapon. Now, even though many of you will start with a wand, given that it does not use ammo to use, it is not a long ranged weapon, but only a short to medium range. You really need to have a staff in order to truly be successful, and my ammo of choice was ice, and I will even share how to get unlimited ice ammo early on. The staff will allow you to kill or take the life down of some of the more difficult enemies before they even reach you and become a problem. Now, later points into the staff will allow you to hit multiple targets and also put a short freezing in place effect on a target. Of course, the problem with the staff is not only the ammo use, but also running out of mana, limiting your shots early on to probably around 4 before needing to recharge or popping a mana pot. Now later, as you get more points and better staffs, you're able to put some mana back through leeching, and better stats into manning will get you probably around 6 or 7 shots, and I'm hoping for even more with some further upgrades that I have not yet obtained. Wand combat is fast and oftentimes can do more damage. Now, if you're great at moving about in a fight and not just standing there, this is the fighting style for you. Later on, through the battle mage specialization, part of the tree you will unlock will give you blink, which allows you, instead of rolling, to do a brief teleport in the direction you would normally roll into, and with some even further points into that spec, blink can cause damage or even work while you're stunned. It's the Battle Mage spec that I suggest you go into first, simply for the additional wand damage you will get, which is your bread and butter weapon. Once you're satisfied with the wand skills, you can begin the wizard staff damage. For this side of things, I went with the ice skills because I wanted to be able to freeze them in place. Plus, I received a quest pretty early on around level 5 where I had to go to this hidden tomb, and I had to dig around in this corner here to uncover a hidden stairwell in the ground. Now, the stairs are located here, so you don't have to dig around frantically like I did. Once down there, watch out for some higher level 7s, which I barely got through myself because I was only level 5 like I said, but it was worth it to have unlimited ice to shoot later on. Now later on, there will be recipes to also craft unlimited fire, lightning, healing ammo, and spoiler, even an acid once you get to the desert area. So if those are more your fancy, you'll need to wait until you unlock those at the alchemist. Now as far as leveling tactics, as a wand and staff wielding battle mage, I tended to look for additional ways up into camps instead of just going through the front door. Many times you can find grapple pull-ups to get into a high position, and just like Obi-Wan, always take the high ground. Now another thing I did was to always look for more grapple points, especially within a camp, because if you get into trouble while on the ground, it's good to have an escape route ready, because although some of the early enemies are slower or easy to roll away from while they're animation locked, others later on do not get animation locked and will turn direction mid-swing, and you'll be out of stamina trying to get away, and they will usually take your health down by half with each swing, so you'll be lucky if you can take 3 hits. Stay high above them and wand them down, and use your staff to shoot when out of range. Once you have both your wand and staff points where you want them, you might want to consider going up through the healing staff line, because there's some nice passives there to look at to be able to help even a solo player, so that is where I am headed next for my own build. Alright, and so that's it for this guide. I hope it was good info to get you started and gave you some options to try out without having to spend points on things you might not want from the start. Even though it's easy to respec at the flame altar, I still thought I'd give you this info. Now I look forward to further leveling and building out my build even more. I'm also looking forward to playing with others so I can test out some group dynamics and healing. And let me know down below if you went in some other direction than I did and how those worked for you. I'm interested in the Beastmaster line, so perhaps I'll mess around with that as well. It seems more situational than I care for in solo play, but who knows. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay positive out there as you battle through the Shroud.